In a quiet corner of the Galactic Learning Hall, young cadets sat in a curved chamber, light glowing softly from the walls. It was a history class usually boring, mostly facts about extinct species, lost wars, and ancient mistakes. Instructor: Velk, an old, wrinkled being with 4 thin eyes and slow speech, walked to the center of the room and touched the floor. A glowing image of a blue planet appeared in the air. "Today," he said, voice calm, "we speak of Earth." A soft laugh rippled through the class. "Earth?" one student asked. "The Deathworld from the old stories?" Another student chuckled. "That's just myth. Humans aren't real." Velk's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand, and the room turned darker. "Many say the same. Many are wrong." He waved his hand, and glowing symbols floated up ancient warning signs, red and black in over 30 alien languages. "These," Velk said, "are real. These were issued by the Galactic Council. Not myths, warnings." The room grew quiet. One curious student, Vetra, leaned forward. She was young, but sharper than the rest. Her mind never rested. "Why are there no records?" She asked. VLK hesitated, then slowly replied, "Because they were removed." Earth was labeled Red Class Anomaly. Information was sealed. Vetra frowned. "That doesn't sound like a joke. That sounds like fear." Velk turned to the planet projection. "Exactly." The image shifted. Now it showed flames across cities, giant machines marching across landscapes, and shadowy human shapes with glowing eyes. "According to the legends," he continued, "Earth was different. Not because it had weapons, but because of what lived there. The humans. They adapted to poison air. They drank radiation. They fought wars every century for fun." Another student laughed nervously. "That's impossible." Vetra, still focused, whispered, "Maybe that's what everyone thought." Until it was too late. Later that night, Vetra returned to the data archives. She was not like other students. She wanted answers. Deep in the restricted section, she found a sealed file. File 027HX, Human Incident, Red Class, Council Eyes ONL. Why her? Hands trembled as she opened it. The file was old centuries old, but parts still played clearly. A council ship entering. Earth solar system. Peaceful contact attempt. Then static. Screams. Weapons fire. Silence. Then a voice. Calm, male. "Human, you shouldn't have come." The stories were warnings, not invitations. Vetra's heart raced out. The file ended with a single message. "Do not provoke Earth." The myths were warnings. Her eyes widened. What if the stories were true? What if Earth still lived? The next day, she returned to class. The others joked about Earth. Again about humans building castles in lava and breathing fire. But Vetra stayed silent. Something deep inside her had shifted. She looked again at the glowing image of Earth. It wasn't glowing with light. It was glowing with danger. And somewhere far away in the galaxy, something stirred. A forgotten ship. A forgotten people. A silent world. Watching. Waiting. Asterisk. The galaxy was quiet in Sector 19Z. A lonely patch of stars beyond any major trade route. Most believed nothing lived there anymore. Just cold dust, silent rocks, and old ruins. But then a signal came out. It was weak, broken, almost like a whisper through space. The Galactic Council picked it up by accident. A low-level drone caught the message during a patrol. At first, no one paid attention. Signals drifted through space, all the time-dead probes, echo waves, lost calls. But this one was different. The message repeated every 8 seconds. "Red Class? Repeat. Do not respond. They're still here." The council scrambled. Old Red Class warnings were rare. The last one was nearly 300 years ago. Most had been forgotten. But the law was clear. Any Red Class signal must be investigated by an elite team. 6 hours later, a ship called Silver Crest entered the forgotten sector. It was a small vessel, 4 decks, 10 crew members, fast and armed for recon missions. The team on board didn't believe in stories. Captain Yola, a strict but proud officer, looked at the signal on the screen. "This isn't from a warship," she said. "It's old tech, maybe a lost science team." Her second-in-command, Drex, frowned. "Then why the Red Class tag?" Yola ignored the question. "Prepare to land," she ordered. The ship moved toward a moon that had once belonged to a human mining station. It was abandoned, according to the records. But as Silver Crest approached, they saw something unexpected. The base was still there. Dot lights glowed from inside. They landed near the structure. The ground was cracked, cold, and empty. Their boots crunched on black stone as they moved toward the main gate. The walls were old, rusted, and covered in marks, claw marks, burns, and strange symbols. Lieutenant Relo scanned the wall with his device. "This building is from Earth," he whispered. "Design code matches human architecture from over 200 years ago." The group stared at him. "That's impossible," Drex said. "Earth's last contact was in 3127. No human colonies are." "Left? Maybe not," Relo replied. "But this place is still powered." Inside the structure, dust floated in the air like ghosts. The walls hummed with energy. Machines blinked quietly, waiting, and then they saw a dot in the center of the room was a message screen. It flickered on its own glowing blue. Words appeared slowly. "You didn't listen." The team looked at each other. "What does that mean?" Yola asked. Relo typed back, "Who are you?" No reply came. Instead, another screen lit up. Security. Footage. They watched a past recording. Human soldiers in black armor, moving like shadows. Silent, efficient. One by one, intruders were taken down. No noise, no mercy. Just fast action and vanishing bodies. The file ended with a chilling frame. A human with glowing eyes looking directly into the camera. Below his face, 2 words were scratched into the screen. "Still here." Suddenly, Silver Crest's comms crackled. "Captain." "Something's moving outside," came a voice from the ship. Yola turned to her team. "Stay calm. Keep watching the perimeter." But it was already too late. Back at the ship, alarms screamed. Motion sensors detected multiple shapes fast, low to the ground, surrounding the vessel. Cameras only caught brief blurs. 2 legs, humanoid, armored. One crew member shouted, "I saw it. A human. It looked straight at me." Then static. Total silence. The team inside the structure watched the ship go. Dark. Lights off. Engines dead. Weapons offline. Drex whispered, "This isn't just a myth anymore." Captain Yola clenched her fists. "No, it's history repeating." Outside, in the cold, someone watched from the shadows. A tall figure in black armor stood perfectly still, unseen by the crew. On its helmet, a symbol glowed faintly. Earth Command Red W8s. The myths were not myths. The Deathworld humans had never died. Had simply waited. And now, they knew someone had returned. Asterisk. The base was cold and quiet. Captain Yola and her crew stood still, listening. Nothing. Not a whisper. Not a step. Not even wind. It was the kind of silence that felt alive, like something was watching. Drex tapped the screen again, trying to contact the ship. No response. No signal. "Nothing," he said, his voice dry. "They've shut us out." Yola scanned the shadows. "We are not alone here." Outside the base, the ship's Silver Crest sat in darkness. Its lights were out, and no signs of movement came from inside. 1, of the forward cameras had recorded a final frame before blackout, a shape walking upright, humanoid armored, holding something glowing. Relo replayed the footage in slow motion. "I think," he whispered, "they walked straight through our shields." "What kind of tech can do that?" Vetra asked, now on the team with the landing crew. Relo stared. "Not tech. Instinct. Deathworld instinct." They moved deeper into the base dot walls, flickered with old lights. Signs written in ancient Terran script glowed faintly. "Emergency Armory Level 3. Keep out. Authorized Terran personnel. Only." Drex tried a door. Locked dot, he forced it open and froze. Inside were rows of black armor. Tall suits made for war. Not just armor-living weapons. Some pieces were covered in strange dried slime. Others looked cracked, like they'd been used. Recently, one helmet turned on by itself. Red light glowed behind the eye visor. Vetra whispered, "It's watching us." "No," Relo said slowly. "It's scanning us." Suddenly, loud metallic clanging echoed through the hallway. Everyone jumped. Another clang. Closer. Then a heavy breath, mechanical slow. "Form up," Yola barked. "Weapons ready." They raised their blasters. But their scans still showed. No life. Clang. Closer now. Boots. Heavy. One step at a time, but when the corner was checked, nothing. The hallway was empty. Not even a shadow. False alarm? Drex asked. "No," Vetra said. "It wanted us to look." Behind them, a door opened by itself. The lights turned red. A voice played from the old speakers. Scratchy and cold. Terran protocol. Intruder presence confirmed. Red watch activated. "Let them see the truth." Then the holograms turned on. The walls around them came alive with glowing images. Battles. Explosions. Alien. Armies screaming. And always, at the center, humans in black armor, silent, emotionless. Efficient. They weren't just warriors. They were myths made real. One recording played. A deep male voice. The Deathworlders were created by fire, forged in extinction, and trained by fear. You think we're gone? You think the stories were jokes? You never understood the warning. The screen froze on the face of a human general, calm, with eyes that held no mercy. Below him, the words, "Red Watch never sleeps." Yola turned to Relo. "What is the Red Watch?" Relo answered slowly. It was Earth's last line of defense. A group made to hide after Earth was wiped from the charts. They didn't die. They hid. They prepared. Vetra's voice shook, and we just woke them up. Suddenly, every door in the base slammed shut. Lights cut out. Darkness swallowed them whole. In that pitch-black silence, a soft sound echoed, metal scraping against metal. Then boots. Marching. Steady. Closer. Rilo whispered. Ghosts in armor. From the far end of the hall, they saw it. Tall human figure, fully armored, walking slowly toward them. Its armor had no light, no color. Just deep black. Like space. It didn't speak. It didn't rush. It just kept walking. And the crew knew this was no machine. This was a human trained to end threats, trained to erase memories, trained to make myths into truth. "Run!" Yola shouted. They turned and fled, doors opening by themselves, as if the base wanted them to leave. Behind them, the heavy footsteps never sped up, just one after the other. Like death on patrol. The crew ran. Their boots slammed against the metal floor. As the ancient base twisted and shifted, doors opened before them, only to slam shut behind. It was as if the station itself was guiding them, pushing them somewhere. Not to safety, but deeper, deeper into the heart of the myth. Where is it taking us? Vetra gasped, barely keeping. Up, Relo looked at the glowing path beneath their feet. "I think," It wants us to find something. They entered a large chamber. It was wide and empty, with walls covered in earth symbols. At the center stood a pod-old, rusted, half-frozen. Steam hissed from broken vents. Around it were cracked weapons, shattered helmets, and the remains of strange metal creatures. The pod suddenly hissed open. Captain Yola raised her weapon. From the mist, a figure stepped out. It was a man. Tall, thin, shirtless, covered in long, pale scars. His skin was ghostly, and his eyes glowed faintly gold and unreadable. He didn't flinch. He didn't speak. He just looked at them. The kind of look that made your heart forget how to beat. Drex raised his blaster. Identify yourself. The man blinked slowly, his lips parted. Why are you here? His voice was low, hoarse, like it hadn't been used in centuries. Vetra stepped forward. We're explorers. We picked up a distress signal. We didn't know, the man interrupted. You came to laugh again? They froze. No, Yola said firmly. We came because the signal was marked Red Class. We wanted to know why. The man stepped closer, barefoot on the cold floor. There were warnings. You erased them. And now? You've come to wake death again. The lights in the room flickered. Somewhere far off, a distant alarm sounded, one not from their ship, but from the human base itself. The man turned toward a screen. A small button blinked. He pressed it. A recording played. It was a voice. Female. Calm. Familiar. Red Watch. Commander 09B. Entering cryo. If anyone finds this, know that Earth didn't die. We went dark by choice. The galaxy feared us. Because it should. If we're awakened, it means someone didn't listen. The recording ended. The man looked back at them. I was asleep. Not alone. But now, I am. What happened here? Relo asked quietly. He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to a nearby wall, wiped off dust, and revealed a faded message burned into the metal. Let the stars forget us. We will remember everything. Yola stepped forward slowly. We thought Earth was gone. A myth. He smiled. But it wasn't friendly. You turned us into stories. You called us monsters, Deathworlders. But all we did was survive. You feared what you couldn't understand. A sudden hum came from the floor. Panels lit up. Screens activated. The base had reawakened. Multiple dots appeared on a map. Ships entering the sector. Relo's face turned pale. Council ships. They followed our trail. The man's eyes narrowed. You brought them here? We didn't mean to, Drex shouted. They were monitoring the signal. You made the same mistake twice, the man said coldly. Yola took a step forward. What are you going to do? He didn't answer. He simply walked to a wall, placed his hand on a scanner, and whispered, Red Watch online. A deep voice echoed through the base. Defense mode reactivated. Awaiting target confirmation. Outside, in the blackness of space, hidden panels on the surface of the moon opened. Old Terran weapons, still alive, still deadly, rose from their graves. Turrets locked on the incoming council fleet. Inside, the man faced them again. You wanted to find Earth's truth, he said quietly. Now, you'll see what the stories never told. Then he stepped into the shadows. Gone. Like a ghost, like a warning, like history walking once again. Asterisk. In orbit above the dead moon, the council fleet arrived in perfect formation. 12 ships, shields up, weapons ready. Inside the command bridge of the flagship Honor's Eye, Admiral Kern looked out the viewport. His face was calm, but his nerves were tight. Anything yet? He asked. His officer replied, The base shows signs of power, but no life readings, no response. Then we secure the site, deploy troops. But before they could move, boom. The ship shook violently. Then again. Boom. Alarms. Screamed. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Something had hit them, but no weapon was detected. Shields are down. The officer yelled. Kern's eyes widened. What? How? Back on the moon's surface, the team inside the base watched the screen. Red lines traced each council ship. Weapon systems activated silently. Terran tech from centuries ago locked on like it never stopped working. And then, the myths began. The first ship vanished in light. No sound, no warning, just fire. 1 second it was there. The next, a burning hole in space. The crew gasped. It's true, Vetra whispered. Everything they said about Earth. It's all real. The base's voice echoed through the chamber. Red Watch protocol. Galaxy-class threat confirmed. Unleash silence. In orbit, the Council fleet panicked. Unknown weapons. We don't see them. They're firing through space-time folds. Another ship went down. Then another. They didn't stand a chance. Inside the moon base, lights flickered wildly. The human, the man they had found, appeared again, standing at the center of the room like a shadow made solid. You brought them, he said calmly. Now they'll remember the stories the galaxy tried to bury. Yola stepped forward. You'll destroy them all. He didn't deny it. They feared Deathworlders. They erased our name. They said the stories were lies. He looked up at the screen. Council ships breaking apart in slow motion. But myths have teeth. The Council fleet opened fire blindly. Missiles, lasers, plasma. But the shots vanished, swallowed by invisible fields. Terran tech warped physics itself. Relo stared. They're using quantum displacement. Tech from a myth. The human looked at him. It was never a myth, just hidden history. Suddenly, a deep rumble passed through the floor. New systems activated. Not weapons. Shields. Pods. 10, 20, 50. Dozens of black drop pods rose from the underground hangars. Each carried the Red Watch. Each held humans in armor, faces hidden, hearts cold, memories full of fire. They had waited centuries in cryosleep, and now they were awake. One pod opened inside the base. A female soldier stepped out. Her eyes glowed faintly, her armor chipped from old wars. She looked at the team, not with hate, with pity. You should have let us sleep. Then she marched out of the room. Outside, the pods launched into the sky, silent and fast. Each shot into space like a bullet. And when they reached the Council fleet, they didn't fire weapons. They boarded. From the bridge of Honor's Eye. Admiral Kern saw them land, humans in armor, punching through metal, tearing doors apart, walking into corridors. One by one, his soldiers screamed. And then nothing. Just silence. Dead comes. Within minutes. The fleet was gone. Not destroyed. Claimed. Back on the moon. The human turned to Yola's team. You asked what happened to Earth, he said. You're standing in the answer. Relo whispered. And the myths? He looked up at the red sky. Were warnings, stories meant to protect the galaxy from us. Then he said the words that chilled every heart in the room. But no one ever listens. The smoke above the dead moon had cleared. The Council fleet was no more. What remained wasn't. Wreckage. It was silence. And in that silence, the galaxy changed forever. Captain Yola stood at the edge of the human command deck, watching the final pod return. The Red Watch soldier inside stepped out calmly, armor still steaming. Behind her, the human man known only as Commander watched quietly. His expression didn't change. No pride. No anger. Just the weight of old memories. Yola broke the silence. Why didn't you strike earlier? Why wait all these years in the dark? The commander's voice was calm. Because we weren't here to conquer. We were here to be forgotten. He walked toward the main console. A red light blinked beside a file. Earth Protocol. Final OPTONE. Placed his hand on it. Relo stepped forward, nervous. "What is that?" "A message," the commander said. "To the galaxy." Across every major world, every screen flickered, from the core worlds to the outer stations, from noble palaces to street markets. Everywhere. A message played. A face appeared, his face, calm, human. Deadly. "We were myths. You laughed. We stayed silent. You erased our warnings. We gave you peace. You came again. And now you remember. We are not monsters. We are what comes after monsters stop trying. Let this be history. Let it be." The last chapter. Then the screen showed the burning remains of the fleet floating in perfect rows. No chaos. No randomness. Just precision. The message ended. Silence returned, and a new fear was born. Inside the moonbase, Vetra finally spoke. Her voice was soft. "Will Earth rise again?" The commander looked at her. Earth never fell. It just watched. He turned away, walking into a hallway of cold light. Behind him, more Red Watch soldiers emerged from cryo. Not angry, not smiling. Just prepared. Prepared for a world that laughed at warnings. Prepared for those who forgot the truth. Drex stared at the blinking map of the sector. "No one will believe us," he whispered. "No one will believe any of this." Yola shook her head slowly. "They will." She looked up at the word glowing above the command screen. EART EHD Chief Albl DACTI far beyond the sector. A council met in secret. They argued. They denied. Some shouted to prepare war. Others whispered that it was already too late. Single message sat on the table, recovered from the wreckage of Honor's Eye. They were myths. Now they are history. And across the stars, people listened. Some in awe, some in terror, some in silence. Because deep inside, every species knew the truth now. The stories were real. The humans had returned, and they had never stopped watching. Asterisk.